Chapter 6 Part 1. The silence in the harbor's end medical clinic was a living thing, thick and heavy, broken only by the low, rhythmic hiss of the ventilator and the steady, electronic beep of the heart monitor. Anthony lay in the narrow bed, unnaturally still, a web of tubes and wires tethering him to the machines that breathed for him, that measured the faint, stubborn persistence of his life. His skin was pale against the white sheets, the angry, resonant flush gone, leaving only the latticework of scars on his left arm, silent now, just scars. The catastrophic seizure, the neural overload from the EM blast, had thrown him into a deep coma. Anoxic brain injury, Doc Evans had said, his voice gravelly with exhaustion and pity. The storm in his head, it burned out the lights. Whether they can come back on. He'd left the sentence unfinished, a verdict of wait and see. Angela sat in the chair beside the bed, her hand resting over Anthony's cold, inert one. She'd been there for days, watching the slow, artificial rise and fall of his chest, listening to the beep that meant his heart still fought. The frantic energy of the battle, the chase, the revelations, the terrible, glorious detonation at Split Rock had drained away, leaving behind a hollowed-out exhaustion. They had won. Vance was in custody, singing like a canary to federal authorities in a desperate bid for leniency, his smugness replaced by sheer, gibbering terror at what Anthony had unleashed. Dr. Reyes, safe and fiercely cooperative, was providing a roadmap to dismantle the entire Project Verdant Graft network. The source material in the cannery tank was slated for permanent, thermite-based destruction. Harbor's End was safe. But victory felt like ash. The door to the room opened softly. Lena Mitchell stepped in, moving with a new, careful grace. The deep calm granted by Dose Zero held. The static was a forgotten nightmare. She carried 2 mugs of tea. She set one down next to Angela and placed a gentle hand on her daughter's shoulder. "He's still in there, Angie," Lena murmured, her gaze on Anthony's still face. Somewhere past the quiet, the body remembers how to live, even when the mind is lost at sea. Angela nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. She looked from Anthony's still form to her mother's clear, compassionate eyes. One saved by the cure, the other broken by it. The paradox of Robert's work was a circle with a brutal cost. "There are people here to see you," Lena said softly. "Not reporters. The others." Angela took a shaky breath and nodded. She gave Anthony's hand a final squeeze and followed her mother out into the clinic's waiting area. It was packed, not with media, but with the faces of Harbor's End. Mrs. Henderson, her usual gruffness softened by shared grief. Old man Peters, clutching his cap in his hands. Russo, a formidable presence, leaning against the wall, his arms crossed, his gaze fixed on the floor. Megan, her eyes red-rimmed but sharp, a tablet clutched to her chest. Joe from the bait shop, Maria from the diner. They filled the small room, a silent, solemn vigil. Russo looked up as Angela entered. "Kid," he said, his voice rough. "How is he?" "The same," Angela whispered. A collective, quiet sigh moved through the room. Mrs. Henderson stepped forward. "The feds are all over the cannery. The stuff in the tank. They say they'll handle it properly."
She didn't sound convinced.
Megan held up her tablet. "Dr. Reyes is working with them. She's given them access to everything. The stations in Costa Rica, Norway, they're being raided. It's over." But her tone was hollow. The victory on the screen didn't match the loss in the room. "It's not over," Angela said, her voice finding a sliver of strength. She looked around at their faces, the community that had become an army, a family. "The source is contained, not gone. Vance's network is cracked, but the knowledge, the blueprint, it exists. Someone else could try again." She took a deep breath. "Anthony, he burned himself out to give us this chance. A chance to do more than just clean up the mess. To build something that can watch for the next one." Russo's eyes narrowed. "What are you thinking, Mitchell?" "The Benjamin and Robert Moretti Fund," Angela said, the idea forming even as she spoke, born from the quiet and the grief. "It was a start, but it needs to be more." It needs to be a shield. A global watchdog, funded by what's left of the Moretti fortune, but run from right here. We have the expertise. We have the experience. We know the signs. We can monitor geological sites, biotech research, support ethical science. She looked at Megan. We can use Magpie's networks to listen for whispers of the next Verdun graft. A slow murmur of agreement rippled through the room. It was a purpose. A way to channel the pain into prevention. Then that's what we do, Russo said, pushing off the wall. We build the damned shield. Later, alone in the room with Anthony once more, Angela sat back down. The afternoon light was fading, casting long shadows across the floor. She reached into her pocket and pulled out the rust-streaked stone from Split Rock. She placed it on the bedside table, next to the beeping monitor. Salt and stone, Anthony, she whispered to his still form. You were both. You were the meeting place. Her tears came then, silent, and finally. Now it's our turn to hold the line. She didn't know if he could hear her. But as the last light of day bled from the sky, the steady, rhythmic beep of the heart monitor continued, a stubborn, resilient counterpoint to the quiet. The tide had gone out, leaving behind a scarred but stable shore. And on that shore, those who remained would keep watch, ensuring the price paid in fire and silence would not be in vain. The story of Salt and Stone was ending, but the work of the Titapool was just beginning.